Wait. All right, go ahead.
This is Papa Pat. He started in the 80s. I was privileged to meet him 2 years ago, and now he's back on the scene. Some of the best in the world want to battle him now. And I'll let Papa Pat give you more about himself now. Thank you.
All right. Okay, I guess I started off. They call me Popping Pat. They also call me Pat Strut. I'm not like one of these Bay Area dudes that like really made a name for himself back then. I'm just another Bay Area dude from the 80s that was getting off back then. And, you know, I'd like to think he still has like a few moves left, you know. I kind of, after it died out here, I kind of like semi-retired, not fully retired, but I'd mess around with it over the years. And dude right here, Sir Papa-Lot, in 2012, he met me on Facebook, and he's the one that encouraged me. He brought me back out to this scene after a quarter-century absence.
Wow. Wow. So, what year did you start it, and how did you get the name Poppin' Pat, and where are you from?
I don't know if you were gonna be able to see it, like over there. It's just audio, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm born and raised in the 415, San Francisco, sucker-free city, San Francisco, whatever you want to call it. I'm born and raised over there, and I actually got a late start, very late for the Bay, 1984. So practically everybody else in the Bay started for me. I wasn't into dancing or even music when I was younger, but dancing was big back then, so I just was a spectator. Starting about 1982, I was a spectator for fun, and I was watching people get off for about like 2 years. And one day in 1984, I was thinking, man, I know some of the moves. So like I just went in my home, I just started busting, and I was like shocked that I knew I'd picked up a lot of moves just by watching dudes get down. So that's 1984. I went full tilt into what we call strutting. You see, we call it popping in other areas, but San Francisco, at least in the 80s, we always called it strutting. But it's I wasn't dancing for long. Practically everybody in the Bay had given dancing up by about early 1986. But I hadn't been doing it for that long. I didn't feel like totally quitting, but I just did it for fun after that. I bust moves in the garage and the backyard, and I'd still go down to the wharf, and I do street performing. I did street performing from the 80s, and also downtown San Francisco on Market Street too. From the 1980s, about to 2004 really was when I stopped street performing, but I might return to it. You never know.
Okay. And how old are you, Pat?
I'm 45. I'm almost 46.
Okay, so you've been doing this for quite a while then.
Yeah, I've never like 100% stopped, but I don't dance much anymore. But I've never lost the love. It's like there's something in this dance. I don't think you ever fully walk away from it. There's something about this dance keeps pulling you back. And that's real. It's a beautiful, it's a spiritual thing. Popping, boogaloo, roboting, strutting. It's magic, and the OGs know what I'm talking about. Just when you think you're out, something or somebody happens, and you get pulled back in, and that's my story right there.
So who were your influences? Who were you watching? Like what dancers caused you or sparked to inspire you to do that?
In the Bay, I'd give shout outs to I've got to shout it out for Boogaloo Vic. That's my dude right there. Also, Mr. Fantastic, and definitely Playboy Rob, and Damon Frost, Rubber Band Man, love that. And in terms of the media, because I usually watch people from the LA on the TV and movies and everything. One dude that really influenced me too was Taco. Poppin' Taco definitely was a strong influence, and Tony Strut, who was a cousin of the legendary Puppetrons from San Jose, but he was a legendary San Francisco strutter in his own right, Tony Strut. So those pretty much are the dudes that really influenced me.
Who was the first person that you saw that made you go, I'm going to do that? There had to have been one guy that you saw, whether it be on TV, a street corner or something, and you went, he just made you stop.
I'll say Boogaloo Vic again.
Okay.
Because, like, as far as I'm concerned, nobody had moves like that dude. And waving, I mean, and him and you have to kind of mention Damon, Rubber Band Man too, because his waving style was similar, and they were pals back in the day. Yeah, nobody had waves like those dudes. And I think a lot of the waving that you see today, it comes from Vic and Damon. It's no question, in my opinion.
And about what year was that roughly when you first saw him?
Well, I'll tell you, the very first time that I saw people get off, and we see other areas, they say get down. Well, we had said in San Francisco back in the day, we used to say get off. The first people I saw get off is 1978. My parents took me over there to Fisherman's Wharf, and there was some dudes doing strutting as street performing, and like, I don't even know what group it was, but I was like, wow. And at the time, I wasn't even like thinking of getting into it, but I always remembered it. But it was really the point I got into it was when breaking started to come in, like in the Bay. Breaking came here around 1982, and that's when it really started to get commercialized, the movies. I knew that it had been around for a minute because I had seen it back in 78, but 82 was the point with the commercialization, and there was a lot of people getting down. It's like, that's okay, man, I was a spectator though. So I don't know if there was one particular thing. I think it was a saturation. I had seen so many people getting off and representing in dance in 1984, so I guess gotta try this for myself. And I went in my room, and like, lo and behold, I knew a number of the moves already, and then I went full tilt into it. So I've been messing around with it to some level ever since. So 1984, 2014, 30 years now. 30 years.
So what do you think caused people to stop dancing, and what do you see as the future of it going?
That's a complicated thing. I think the biggest thing that happened in the Bay was Boogaloo roboting strutting had been around for so long. And then when the commercialization came in, it got like too big. And also breaking too actually caused some damage because a lot of dudes saying, oh, the popping been around forever, but now breaking is new. And so breaking took many people away from the popping dance. And I think then what really kind of finished things off was whole drugs, like rap music. Rap music had hit it here in the early 80s, but then all the culture here started to emphasize thugging. Like Ice-T started like making records like 6 in the Morning. You had NWA come out in 1987. Then you had like 86 or 87. You had like Covers. Then you had New Jack City and Boys in the Hood and the gangsta rap came out. So the gang life and drug life was already prevalent here in the Bay. But once they started commercializing that and pushing, especially when crack came in and people could make all the money, and that's like, people wanted to be a hustler or to be down for their hood. They didn't want to be dancing no more. Dancing was played out. So you have to look at it, it's complex, a variety of factors. But in a few short years, all that came together, and popping pretty much died in the Bay. Like 99% died.
How does that get recovered?
How does it get recovered? I think it's already recovering. I don't know if it's ever going to be as big as it was back here because it was so huge, but ultimately I think it's a good thing. Because there's been too much commercialization of the dance, there's too much studios. I'm not knocking if somebody wants to learn the studio, but for me, Boogaloo, roboting, strutting, popping, this dance comes from the street. It's a street dance, and you have to keep the hood in it always. If you fully take the hood out of this dance, it's going to be lost, and there might be some kind of studio dancing thing around. It's not going to be real popping to me. So I hope they always keep the hood in it. They have to.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for talking to me.
You guys have like a website, yeah?
Yeah,